For many fans of the Kingdom Hearts series who have been accompanying the series for a long time, following the musical journey of the series has been just as exciting as following the story. Tracing the connections that the soundtrack establishes and connecting to some of the most powerful pieces the series introduced could happen naturally as fans replayed the games or listened to soundtracks online before the next installments came out. However, there have also been many of those who've just recently discovered the whole plethora of games and consumed them in a marathon form, digesting what has been effectively almost 2 decades of musical storytelling and lore building in a very short amount of time. How does the Kingdom Hearts musical experience differ for a new fan of the series compared to that of older fans, and how well does the consumption of 20 years of content in a short amount of time influence how someone would appreciate the musical stories told by the composers? Uh, so that's the intro for the episode. Uh, yeah, I guess I'm gonna talk to the audience as well. I'm so bad at hosting this. Uh, so yeah, welcome everyone to episode 2 of Sound Ideas. Last episode I talked to David and Green Requiem, I guess, about some of the people who are involved in the music of the series, some of the composers, some of the arrangers. But today, this episode is going to be a little different. So this is episode 2, and the guest I have here today is someone who is a longtime musician, from what I know, and very involved in video game music and stuff. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Panuganti. I'm super happy to be here. I'm, I guess, most primarily known as a YouTube musician. I make rock and metal arrangements of famous video game music and also sometimes anime, movies, TV, and originals as well. I'm primarily a guitar player, but I've picked up all sorts of things like bass and piano and lately voice and drums and all sorts of things. And obviously I am a huge gamer. I've been playing games since I was 5 on the Super Nintendo, I think is my first console, and I've been a huge fan of a lot of major Nintendo series like The Legend of Zelda and Mario, but have grown to like everything from Elder Scrolls, Mass Effect, and now, Kingdom Hearts, of course, is the latest big series that I've tackled. So yeah.
Cool. So you're a big video game musician. You do a lot of covers of all sort of stuff. You work with a lot of people. You've been around the VGM scene for a very long time, much longer than I have.
Sure. I don't know, like 10 years almost, I think.
Wow.
So.
So how was your experience with the Kingdom Hearts series as a first-time player and as a long-time musician? How is that for you?
So what's kind of cool about Kingdom Hearts and me, of course, is like I started the game 4 years ago, but I heard of the game when I was a kid. I didn't have a PlayStation or anything, but it was really confusing and interesting. I saw the commercial and I heard Simple and Clean, and we would always joke about it because of the commercial, but I never knew anyone who had played it. So eventually, when I started talking to all of my very first friends in the cover arrangement world, some of them were really big fans of this Kingdom Hearts game series, and I still didn't really know too much about it, but I started hearing covers of these very famous songs. So the first Kingdom Hearts cover I ever heard was Family Jewels' like Simple and Clean cover from 2010 maybe. So I was like, oh wow, this is a really catchy song. This is cool. I wonder if like this game plays that song somewhere. I didn't understand, right? Like I didn't know that this is the score or anything. But eventually I started seeing more and more little things until I met, of course, David Russell, who is a humongous fan of the music and started doing all of these piano covers of the music. And I started hearing about his little project as we got closer, and I started like chatting with him more on projects until eventually he was like, yeah, we're doing a big project called Project Destati, and he tried to explain to me what Destati was and what like any of the music was. So in 2014 I started trying to play Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time, and because I knew it was an important game to my friend. It was an important game in the community. I started seeing more and more covers of other songs from the game. So I think I saw Dearly Beloved next as a song that got covered a lot. So I was still very, very curious. It's not like someone covered, like the Mario levels or like, it's not like a boss fight song. People were just covering Simple and Clean or Dearly Beloved or eventually like My Sanctuary, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love these songs, but also it was very confusing, because I expected level songs or video game type things. Exactly. But once I started playing it, I was like, whoa, there's like choirs going on. I'm in like this black room with this big stained glass, floor. I was like, this is nothing like what I thought it. Where's Mickey Mouse? And where's like the whole game I was going in as blind and first time as possible. I was like, where's Goofy and where does Mickey show up? And am I gonna go meet like all of the so slowly I started hearing all of these songs that no one had prepared me for except for the Project Astati music I had heard. And slowly I could like piece together these little themes, and it was really, really cool because no game at that point had really done it that way, I think. So unique, and trying to make these little melodies that you would hear from one song inside the other, and it was really cool. And then I got stuck on Ursula, so I gave up on the game for 4 years or so, and I finally decided this year, I decided before Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, I will get the full collection on PlayStation and go through all of them. And then I got stuck on Ursula, and then I waited a while, and then I started meeting even more Kingdom Hearts fans. I did a few more covers of the music that I did get to hear and really liked. And finally, I was like, all right, we're doing this. Screw it. We're beating all of the main Kingdom Hearts games I can. And as you know, of course, I went through all of Kingdom Hearts 1. I got stuck on a few hard things. And then I beat that in like, I don't know how long it took me to beat Kingdom Hearts 1. It felt like hours and hours. And then Kingdom Hearts 2, I beat it in a week. I just went through it. And then Birth by Sleep 2.8 and then 3. All in another week or so, and it was fantastic.
You just like steamrolled the entire series in like 2 weeks or something. It was crazy.
Watching videos too, right? Like I watched the videos of Coded and Dream Drop Distance. I really just digested the whole series as fast, and it's addicting. It's a very like inviting series. People really. They really enjoy the series in a way that I think a lot of fan bases should, where, anyone can really like any one of the games for any reason. And it's kind of like understood. There's not, like, this is one of the fan bases I love the most because they kind of know how crazy the Kingdom Hearts timeline is and the story is, but they embrace it. They like it. And it's just really cool how from there I started like playing each game, and I would start recognizing either famous Disney movies or I would just really like the score, the music, and I would start to hear things that I'd heard elsewhere, and a lot of the covers that my friends have made for these lesser known songs started coming out. I started seeing like Scherzo de Notte getting covered. I saw like some of the Ansem battle music getting covered, or I actually managed and directed a Kingdom Hearts group album called oh my gosh, Hearts of Light and Dark. So it's been a while, and we did so many songs from across many games, and I didn't know almost any of them. So it was like really exciting. And then now I'm like, oh, I know A Day in Agrabah. That's from the Agrabah levels, and it just, you start connecting all of these experiences, and musical ones especially, into your game experience, and it just makes me like the series that much more.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that you mentioned, because I talked about this on the first episode with David, that if you look up like
Right.
Kingdom Hearts cover on YouTube, you're gonna see
Right.
Simple and Clean, and Dearly Beloved, and maybe some like of the other ones from like the openings, and that's it. And it's so
Right.
funny to me that that is most people's like entryway into Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
That's when it comes to approaching the music, that's the first thing a lot of people get. And
Right.
but the thing is, when people are talking about Kingdom Hearts music, they're talking about a lot of other things that are way beyond that surface level. And it's very fun
Right.
to see how you describe that. Like as soon as you open up Kingdom Hearts One, and you're listening to
Right.
the study choir, and you're like, whoa, this is different. This isn't what I want.
Right.
What I thought
I
it was
think
gonna be.
that's
Like.
a Dive Into the Heart, I think, is
Yeah.
the track. And yeah, it's very different. It's very surprising, but also it's kind of exciting because I didn't expect such a big scale of a song. So you start getting really excited. Like, it's a good surprise. Even though, of course, I was also waiting for like, where's Simple and Clean? After, but you hear it in the beginning cutscenes too, and I think that's kind of like a good way to, for a mass appeal. A lot of people can enjoy the pop kind of songs.
Yes.
Simple and Clean, Sanctuary, or Face My Fears and stuff like. So they're very good for promotion, I think. And they do kind of remind me of Kingdom Hearts now.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
But it is very different.
They're kind of like in this, like, you can't separate Simple and Clean from Kingdom Hearts, for example. And it's funny you mentioned they are very good for promotion, because the very first commercials for KH1, like when I was 1 year old or something, those use Simple and Clean, like, and that's what hooks a lot of people, like, the pop music along with the kind of like the Disney visuals, but there was also a hint of something a little more ominous there, even in those first few like commercials and stuff. Like you could tell, this looks kind of interesting. So it is definitely part of the big appeal. Like even if it doesn't really represent the actual music of the series very much, I think it represents the series in a very interesting way.
Yes. Definitely feels that way.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, how much did the music of the series influence your interest in the games? Like, because I know you heard a lot about it from David even before like you started playing all of it. Was that like your main hook into it, or was there something else, or?
I would say I mean, I'm a big Disney fan. I didn't realize it until I was older, but I grew up on Disney. It's definitely it holds so many like colorful characters and music and things to itself. So a big draw for me to get into Kingdom Hearts was Disney. And then once I learned through all the covers and the community how much people love these games for that, I think that was the next biggest factor. A lot of people who talk about Kingdom Hearts to me almost never bring up the gameplay as a big draw. Like, it's not that part that draws them. It's something about the characters, the music, the color of the game. And I think that's actually interesting. A lot of my game choices are built around the exciting music I'll get to hear. But I also really do like having fun gameplay, and I mean, Kingdom Hearts as a game, just strictly as a game, I think it's not necessarily my favorite because, it's an action RPG. It has some really cool things, and it can also be really hard and frustrating. And that's why I got stuck a few times on Kingdom Hearts like 1 and 2, but ultimately I think it works because of everything together, the Disney aspects, the original story as well, especially in Kingdom Hearts 2. It really drives a lot of the fun of it. But at the end of the day, what I take away from my experiences is largely the music, the scores, the themes across everything.
Yeah, I think like as musicians, there's no way to like not have that as a big appeal to the series, because not even that that's the only thing we pay attention to, but also that the music is genuinely very good. It's like even if you ask
Yeah.
most casual fans, they're gonna say that one of the big good things about the series is the music. Like I think everyone
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of just acknowledges that the music is pretty good. Uh, but you're right.
Hmm.
There's just something about how everything works really well together. The series is so filled with personality, and
Yeah.
it mashes like all these different aspects really well. Even though like the premise is freaking weird, like mixing
Yeah.
Disney with Final
It is.
Fantasy bullshit. It's like, uh,
Of course.
and then you have this super upbeat pop song that is the first thing people hear, and then the first song you hear when you actually play the game is this ominous choir that is super intense. And it's
Right.
like, wait, what is this dark atmosphere? I thought I was coming in for something fun and lively. And like,
Right. I was waiting for the beach because I knew when I first played Kingdom Hearts, I had recorded ukulele for Project Astadi on Destiny Island. So that was the very first song I heard from the game that wasn't simple and clean, I guess. And I was like, "Where's that beach thing? You know, the beach thing that I played." Like, and then eventually you get there, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, this one." So it's interesting, and a lot of people get this way with a lot of game series. But Kingdom Hearts has just so many tracks.
yes.
Like, there's so much music to digest and explore. Anyway,
And there's like a bunch of different character themes and motifs, as you pointed out, things that melodies that play in one song and then come back in another, and even like
right?
I guess rhythmic ostinatos that kind of come
Yeah.
back now and then. How do you feel about like how the music conveys the character building and the world building and the storytelling? Do you think it does a good job at like conveying the story?
As a series, I think it's done a pretty great job. Each game does have different amounts, and sometimes it goes over my head a little bit. But one aspect that I really like is that this game chose to do that at all. I'm a really big fan of musicals and even progressive rock and metal, where they'll use these leitmotifs, these character themes, and it kind of tells the story for you without words. Now, in a video game like Kingdom Hearts, they're already telling you with actions and with facial expressions sometimes. So, when you hear like Kyrie's theme or you hear like Sora's theme, you get different characters in your mind just as well as when you see them on screen. And I think that's really exciting. But also, just the nature of each character's theme tells you so much about them, I think. Sora's theme is so uplifting, and it's like a march. So I feel like it does a really good job during scenes where they want you to feel like the characters are gaining confidence. They're excited for the next journey or something. And, on the other side of the spectrum, of course, when you hear something like, like the darkness motifs kind of things, where the ba-da-da,
Yeah.
and you start like feeling this new like tension
Yes.
and fear. So not only do I think they're used well, but I think they're written well for for each thing. But it's just really cool that they chose to do it that way, and that means that in the future games they always have themes that they can rely on that long-term fans will associate with those moods of either happiness or peril.
Yeah.
They can tell that Kyrie's coming, or just all sorts of things.
There are some like very, I guess some of the most popular instances of this would be like, I guess, Dearly Beloved and The Study, and it's very cool how powerful these kind of melodies can be, because they are very, as you said, they are very well written for the situations where they come up.
Right.
The study is it makes you feel like, oh wait, something is coming up, like the darkness
Right.
motif. For so many people, Dearly Beloved is one of the most nostalgic things, one of the most nostalgic
Right.
melodies that they can hear, because they just remember booting up this game in 2001 or whatever, and listening to that and like hearing the little sound of the waves sound effects in the title screen, and I can see like how much that can take people back. But also, in the context of the game, it really represents these moments of peace and happiness and light in general. So I think
Right.
these are the two like big, I think, examples, especially because they also kind of represent light and darkness. Uh,
Right.
they work really well. But about character themes, for example, I guess you've mentioned like Sora and Kyrie's themes. Uh, Sora has also this thing that has like um, the rhythm and the percussion is what David says is the I guess what is it, the adventure motif, and it comes up in a
Sure,
few
yeah.
like upbeat songs like I guess some of the Gummy Ship tracks and the
I think what working together or
yeah, I think so.
or there's something really like elegant, and it does feel like you're watching a play, and they're about to go on this big quest kind of thing. It's having the snare drums, and it's pretty exciting how they use certain instruments in those cases too
Yeah.
to create like those feelings in Kingdom Hearts.
So, among all the games that you played, I mean, I guess you also know some of the music from the ones you did in like Dream Drop. I don't know if you like heard a lot
A
of
little
music
bit,
from that.
yeah.
From the cutscenes, you probably got a
Just
good idea of like the feud themes and stuff.
sure. I think 365 is what I got the most music out of without playing it, because it has such iconic
Yeah.
songs like Shion's theme, I guess.
And Days also has like very few new tracks. It has like 8 new tracks or something, if
Okay.
even that. So the ones you know are probably like the big important ones, like Shion's theme and stuff. So
Yeah.
among all these games, which one do you think like musically stands out the most, and like why?
Oh my god.
To you, like
That's
personally,
a toughie.
there's no right answer.
I think again, I've attached really well to 2 because I think there was so many story elements that made it feel very fresh coming from Kingdom Hearts 1 immediately, since I did not play Chain, sorry. But I think Roxas is one of the most brilliantly like placed characters in this game series.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of identity crisis, which is the things that really stand out to me as someone who really likes movies too is just like when they take these games and try to make them human, and so we can relate to them. And Roxas feels like he's not himself, he's living in the shadow of someone else. I think a lot of people can feel that. And he has friends around him, yet he feels kind of sad anyway, and he feels bad about that. Like it's so perfect how Roxas works. And that music theme itself, of course, Roxas
Yes.
theme, like it feels fantastic and sad, and it's like a theme of sympathy, I think, because I really
Yes.
like feel for Roxas. And then I watch what happens in Days, and now I just feel even more sad.
Roxas is
So-
also like my favorite. I guess among like top 2 favorite characters. I guess he and Shion are like
Sure.
best, and they also have the best music. I guess the music
Right.
of these characters is a big part of why I love them so much as well.
Yeah. It helps to have a cool theme. You like a character, they should have a good theme song.
Exactly, and as you said, like Roxas is probably the most real character, the most realistically depicted, and personal, especially even like just playing Cage 2, he's already very real. Even like with the limited
Yeah.
amount of screen time and dialogue that he had, he had like the prologue, and that's it for him. Then we had
Sure.
Days, which is like an entire game dedicated to seeing things from his perspective, and it really fleshes his character out in a very, very
see,
cool
yeah.
way. And it feels very personal, and I guess his theme also sums that up very very well. It feels like a very personal theme. It's very simple.
Yeah.
It digs in to your heartstrings, I guess. It's very cool.
Oh yeah. They also, I don't know exactly which instrument. I thought it was English horn, I think, plays it.
The melody for Roxas, you mean?
Yeah, the melody or oboe.
It's a flute. I'm pretty sure it's a flute.
Oh, it's a flute?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of some variation or the distorted
Yeah,
version
maybe.
or something.
But
I find that they use woodwinds very well in that theme and even Kyrie's theme.
Yeah.
And Kyrie's theme to me evokes a mix of like, it's a little sad, but I think it kind of works to like, because we're always looking for Kyrie in the first two games and even in the third one, like it feels like you're always longing to either rescue or reunite with her. So
it's a very bittersweet.
It kind of reminds bittersweet, yeah. It's a song of missing a friend, and I think it works really well the way it's written that way. So I like it a lot for that.
The way you talked about woodwinds reminds me that Roxas's big like his instrument is flute. Like that is the instrument that plays his melody. It's the instrument that plays the melody of the battle theme, I think, as well. Or no, maybe that's strings. Maybe I'm confused, but it's the instrument that represents him. And a lot of characters have that, like one instrument that represents them the most, that plays the melody, and that's very cool to have as well. As you mentioned, Kyrie actually has a bunch of variations of her theme, so she has the most instruments that can represent her, which is very interesting. She has flute. She has like this Celeste kind of instrument. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah.
If it's like a music box or something, but she has a guitar version in Cage 2. It's like, geez, she has like a bunch of different variations. Then I guess there's Riku and Aqua who have cello as their big main instrument.
Right. So Birth by Sleep, I will say, was kind of interesting. It's the music is definitely, creative. It feels like they took the main trio's music and kind of adapted it so that the characters would be similar but also stand out. Of course, Aqua has a really cool theme that's like somewhat similar to Kyrie's but also not. And I guess Roxas and Ven have like somewhat similar themes, but
Ven's theme is like I don't like saying that like some themes are a mixture of one theme and another, but in the case of Ventus, it is actually just that. It's a mixture of the melody of Sora's theme and Roxas' theme, which is very, very fun considering the whole plot of Ven being connected to Sora and looking exactly like Roxas, and it works really well.
Yeah, I mean, the music is poetic. It kind of reflects the story really well. And as far as the world themes go, I felt like Birth by Sleep, I wasn't as into the music as I was with some of the Kingdom Hearts 2 worlds. And even then, I thought Kingdom Hearts 1 might be my favorite for the world music. And the worlds, maybe in general. I'm still kind of thinking about how I feel about all of the worlds in each game. Because, I don't know, I'm not nostalgic for one because I played it recently, but also I do have fond memories of, trying it for the first time a few years ago, and, so Atlantica and Deep Jungle aside, I really liked the music from Olympus, obviously Hollow Bastion in Kingdom Hearts 1, and I mean, I enjoy it in all of them, but in 1, it just feels menacing and exciting. It's definitely one of my favorite tracks from that game. And then, the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 1, I'm trying to remember now. You have a Pirate's Gig from Neverland.
That's a really good.
So there's a lot going on. Monstro. Yeah, that's actually one of my favorites ones.
Cage 1 has like really good music, and it's also, I guess, it's special even for newcomers because it is the entry point to the series, and you don't really know what to expect. So all of those things, they feel very fresh, very new, and very exciting to be listening to for the first time.
Right.
Even though every other game has a lot of new stuff as well, there's always returning tracks.
Right.
So it does feel a little less special, I think, in that sense.
Right, and again, there are some incredible tracks and incredible worlds in the other games too. I think Kingdom Hearts 2, Waltz of the Damned might be my favorite. I actually wanted to cover it for Halloween. I don't know if I'd have time anymore, but
Oh, that would be really cool. I hope you do it.
probably-
I will be looking forward to it.
we'll see if I like take a night off and try it, because it is such a cool song. And again, like, there's really cool worlds there. There's the Tron world. There's the first Pirates world, which is okay compared to the third one, the Kingdom Hearts 3 one, but and then of course the Steamboat Willie level might be my favorite, just because it's, so
It's really funny.
But yeah, it's interesting. I kind of try to think of the world music and the battle music for each game, and it's really hard to pick a favorite. But again, like two just has so much going on there.
Yeah. Another thing that I guess it's always been around, but I think it started becoming more prominent from KH2 forward, is like very emotional music in the series. There's some tracks that stand out to anyone. Having played the series or not, they stand out as being like heart-wrenching. Stuff like Vector to the Heavens, Roxas's The Other Promise, a lot of the Birth by Sleep stuff is sad as heck. How do you feel about that kind of like very emotional like texting track? And do you think that that's like a big draw as well?
So one of the things I think Kingdom Hearts does really, really well that many games may not try to do is those emotional scenes and emotional music. Even if like the story itself sometimes makes odd choices, there's this brilliant music going on where they finally show like some humanity. And I'm trying to think of the specific names, but like moments again, like when towards the end of, was it Kingdom Hearts 2, where Axel kind of takes the fall, and you have like these really like charming moments, or of course in Days there's some really touching moments, and you start playing these songs, and I think there couldn't be anything more perfect than including music at those moments, so people tie that moment to the music, to the scene, just like you would with a movie, you know. Like for example, like at the end of Star Wars Return of the Jedi, when Darth Vader's just defeated, and they close his eyes for the last time and all of that, they play a very like soft bum 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 ba-dum. And just like that, I always associate that character with that music. So likewise, when they have these touching moments, or like when characters reunite together, or I even associate Simple and Clean now with the end cutscene of Kingdom Hearts 1, and Sanctuary is kind of likewise. So they're doing a really good job making this emotional scene, emotional music, characters that you've bonded with after however many hours. So it's really, really, really good. And I can only hope that Kingdom Hearts 4 or whatever, even in Melody, they take advantage of emotions, in addition to memories and all of these different themes in the Kingdom Hearts series. This is like the way that they'll hook in new players and really like grip people who like these characters so much.
I thought it was interesting that you mentioned the death scene for Axel, because the song that plays for that scene is a song that plays a lot starting from KH2 actually, which is it's the organization's motif, and that just made me think, wow, that is such a versatile piece of like music.
Yeah.
Because I started thinking about it. It's been around, I guess since the KH1 Final Mix days, because the introduction to that was in the KH1 Secret movie, and at that point, it wasn't really established what that represented. But it started growing from Page 2 on as being like the organization's motif, right? And it's been around in so many little things. Like there's like obviously the actual theme for the organization, but then there's like all of these
13
different
struggle.
Yeah. There's all these different like battle themes in Cage 2 that incorporated in ways that sometimes you might not even realize when you're like listening to them for the first time playing the game. But they all play for organization battles, like against members of the organization.
Right.
So that is really
That's
fun.
easily my favorite theme in all of Kingdom Hearts 2. You know, it reminds me of the kind of, you know, like I played through like Final Fantasy VII for the first time, I think this year, actually before the remake, and you would hear like Shinra music or like Sephiroth with like the dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
And you instantly know that's him, they're evil, they're coming to get you. And just like that, Organization 13, I would feel like the dun 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 dun, and I'm like, creepy robes. This is the organization. Like something awesome is gonna happen. And every time 13 Struggle would play, I love that song because it uses the theme so perfectly, but also very different, like you said. Sometimes it's, you know, sad, like when Axel's gone. Sometimes it's the planning when they're all sitting in there and you're just watching them plot and you don't know what's happening. And then sometimes it's in 13 Struggle and it's just like, booyah, battle theme. Boom. And then I found out, of course, they pulled that from the Ansem battle music in the first game. There was like a little bit of that melody, and they ended up being able to turn it. I think I could be mixing things up, but I'm pretty sure I heard some of the Organization 13 theme in.
I'm not sure like what
like
exactly you're talking about, but I believe it. Because of course there's all these situations.
Yeah, it's somewhere there.
Reusing aspects from older songs into crafting new ones.
Right.
So that's actually very probable.
Which is awesome. It's really cool when they do that. And again, I'm a very big fan of progressive rock and progressive metal. So whenever you hear like the first song, and then you start hearing, you know, little themes develop, like what is it? Dream Theater is one of my favorite bands, and they made a song, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. So it plays all of these brilliant themes very quickly in the first song, and then the rest of the album is just those bits. And honestly, I would love to do a Kingdom Hearts kind of, you know, thing where you recreate that, because that's how the music
really
was
cool.
composed.
Like, I'm not sure if it's if I understood it like correctly, but it reminds me of what the study did for their album, in which their first track was called Overture, and it was just like this collection of a bunch of different motifs and like snips, bits and pieces from other songs brought together, and then they developed each one of those in the tracks. So that's really fun.
Right, that's exactly it. And again, musicals have been doing this forever. I think even Tchaikovsky has done this, you know, so it's a very like famous way of making music, but it's such a good way of making music. And again, it happens with Star Wars, with Jurassic Park, with all sorts of movies where they want you to enter their world. And Kingdom Hearts does that by, you know, even dive into the heart, you know, it's a little similar, because then you start hearing things and themes. So it's just really cool. And sometimes it's the other way. So you'll hear all of the songs in your game and your adventures, and then at the end of the game, I start hearing them again, and it makes you think back about all the times you were at these different locations. And it's really cool when they can pull something off like that, which is what I think Kingdom Hearts does best.
For sure. There was one thing I wanted to talk to you about as well. Being a VJM musician and being involved with this whole community of people who make covers of video game music and stuff, and also the fact that was kind of some of your first impressions of the music as well. Like seeing covers of Simple and Clean and whatever. I wanted to ask you, like, what do you think about the way, or I guess the importance of the VGM community when it comes to also, I guess, I'm not sure exactly I'm trying to ask, but like when it comes to representing the music of the series, and when it comes to attracting newcomers to that series, like what's your take on that?
Sure. So, one of the best things about fans of anything is, their power to introduce whatever series they're a fan of to new people and make more people happy and give more people this obsession with their different arts. And what musicians can do, especially in this, the sub community where a lot of us make videos of us performing, or sometimes we're acting out, we're doing like these big tributes to our favorite games, and it's really exciting just as a video. But a lot of the times people will watch these videos and then they'll suddenly know that song even though they haven't played the game, because they just know this is a good musician, or this is going to be a good video. It's going to be visually exciting, it's going to play into things. But what I think is really exciting, even though it's harder, is getting someone so into your cover of your whatever game music that they end up wanting to go play it. And this has happened to me with Kingdom Hearts. It's happened with Chrono Trigger. It's happened with so many Persona games where they have such defining music, and the covers I saw were so attractive that I have to hear this music in context, in the game. And it's not easy. I've watched a lot of covers for games that I haven't played, or even games that I don't think would be my favorite. So it can be a challenge, but I think it's also like, this is what I think the future of covers could be, or at least the future of my covers, is where we put all of our work into tributing the music as best we can, putting my own spin on it, which is usually the progressive rock, the metal, which is just combining a lot of different styles. I love doing, blues and rock and acoustic and jazz and just anything. So combining it under this rock umbrella. But also we're YouTubers. So we have a chance to make videos, and, these are video games. Half of the fun is what you're looking at. So being able to do anything from costumes, special effects, which is one of my favorite things I've been getting into, visual effects, parody, jokes, comedy, telling a story, pulling from the game and recreating it in your music video, just like they do or used to do on MTV. Being able to do that in your tribute to Kingdom Hearts or Zelda or Halo or anything is so much more exciting to me that I think you could make a fan try out these games just from that kind of exciting video. So, like, for example, if I were to cover Roxas theme, I could just film it in my room with my guitar. It could be good, it could be bad, and then I could post it. And I don't think people will really get, what Kingdom Hearts 2 or Days is about. But, and this is just an idea, if I go and make sea salt ice cream and then green screen myself onto a ledge and sit in a robe sadly while playing the guitar and eating my ice cream, people might be a little more curious about this video game because they've seen it now. So I think it's really cool that YouTubers could do this, and it doesn't have to be that crazy. You could just dress up as you could dress up in a robe or something. You could have the Keyblade, like Little V Mills. I think he's done a Kingdom Hearts cover recently, like Face My Fears, I think, and he had a Keyblade guitar kind of thing going on. And there's different ways to, right, because we're musicians, so then we like music, and that's good enough for us. But there's also video game fans who are watching this, so provide a visual aid, and I think you could really, we can get more fans that way, and people will see what your favorite series is all about that way. It takes more work, so
yeah, that's actually a really interesting point. Like, I've always seen your videos and like how intricate the video editing is for them, and I always think that they're very fun to watch. Me personally, I'm terrible at video editing, that kind of stuff, so I'm just kind of like, and I'm also just getting started with my stuff, for example.
Of course.
So I'm just like,
this is 9 years of videos too. So you don't have to feel pressured or anything.
No, absolutely not. It's just, it's cool. This is such a neat perspective, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone really talk about why they make their videos like that, you know. That is very that puts things in a very cool perspective for me specifically.
I didn't feel this way for a long time too. You know, I developed this because I started getting interested in videography and just thinking about it. Again, in 2011, I could just post a video in my room, and as long as my guitar was in tune and I wasn't playing badly, nobody really cared because there wasn't that many people doing it. It was exciting, but we have to grow with the community too. And now there's so many people who can just pick up an instrument, record it, play their favorite songs, and post it. So it's going to get harder and harder for us to do the same thing or not be more unique. So discovering what makes my music videos feel like me was very important in the last 2 years. And again, I'm obsessed with movies and video games and TV shows. So it just makes it so much more fun when you can take something like Kingdom Hearts and then bring some of that magic of the video game into your fan art, be it, you know, dressing up or going somewhere that looks like another place. Like I've had a little bit of trouble coming up with some Kingdom Hearts ones that work, but like today I posted a video from an indie game, Ikenfell, and I recorded it in a park because the game takes place in a forest. So it's very easy, but that way people might know what the game is actually about now. So they might be more interested. Oh, I like, you know, this seems kind of interesting because, you know, or sometimes I'll do like the special effects and people will be like, oh, this seems kind of interesting. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And it makes me so happy when I know that someone has given it a shot and, you know, takes the recommendation on something. And it's really exciting. I'd love to see more people interested in this the same way I am, because that means more people to work with or more visually interesting, you know, fan art. So
one of the, like, I guess you're talking a lot about the visual ways we can make like VGM content interesting. Usually the only thing I actually think about is like, how can I make this musically more interesting and appealing, I guess, to other people. So even though I don't do a lot of VGM stuff currently,
it's just as important.
I'm always like interested in seeing like, oh, how will people change this? How will people take this theme from this song and make it interesting musically, in a way that's different and unique to them, you know?
Right.
So like Project The Study, for example. I know we're talking a lot about Project The Study, but it's an amazing example. Look at all of these freaking examples. I think Darkness had 30 tracks or something.
Oh yeah.
And they are all like radically different from how they sound in game.
Right.
They incorporate like different motifs, or they add original stuff to them. And one of the things I really love about video game music, and I actually saw someone talking about this on Twitter today. They were like, I think they were saying something like, VGM musicians, have you ever wanted to like cover a song, but not to...
Oh yes, this was Subversive Asset.
And it was like, have you ever wanted to cover a song, but you actually don't want to cover the song. You want to make a cover of the cover of another cover you heard, like...
Right, someone else's arrangement, because... And I guess he didn't say like the reason why you wanted. He just asked, which is, I think, a good starting place. It's a very interesting point.
This is my favorite thing about the VGM community. Like when it comes to covers, people can have an influence on each other so much on this like community. It's like a chain of people taking elements from other people's covers and being like, oh, this is cool. I like that. I like that in the song. I'm gonna add it to my version as well. I made a whole video about this phenomenon on the covers of Shion's theme. Like I made a freaking research about it.
Oh, interesting.
It was very, very cool to like look into how people like even subconsciously sometimes they incorporated aspects from someone else's arrangement, and they're like,
yes.
And it's like it's so cool, like the power that you can have, the lasting impression you can make. Taking something that isn't like yours, but adding your own element to it, and sometimes that's what sticks out the most. in the arrangement, right?
Right.
So I don't know. That's something really cool to me.
So I have a few thoughts on that one, and like I like to start like there's some arrangements of video game tracks that are so powerful that people almost can't hear the other way anymore. So one example is Super Smash Brothers. If you hear the song Mute City, you know, the F-Zero track, it's this fast-paced rock song, and it's got like all sorts of extra shredding in it. But I grew up on the Super Nintendo version of F-Zero, where it's just, you know, like it's very simple. So most people I talk to that are a little younger than me tend to remember the Smash Bros version most. And even I do. I associate that song with like rock now because it stuck with me. So that's one of those cases where, I mean, again, it's not a huge loss for me. They're both owned by Nintendo, so. But when it comes to covers, especially in the community, one thing that I try to do, of course, is I like to arrange things as uniquely and the way I would like it as much. I try not to listen to other covers of music that I'm about to cover because I don't want to adopt too much from someone else's. Not because I think that would be wrong per se, but I'm going to sell it. You know, I'm going to license my cover. So I definitely don't want to borrow. And I want people to remember mine as differently as possible so that, you know, it stands out. And this is where it gets interesting. A lot of people I talk to now and then, they'll say this phrase like, man, I don't want to cover this after, you know, blah, 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 epic video game person did because they just did it perfectly. No one can ever top that. Because to me, that's just challenging me to say, no, I'm going to do it and mine's going to be different. It's not a better or worse, but I refuse to let anyone not cover music. So I want people to love covering music no matter what. And if you do borrow, you know, I've seen a lot of Kingdom Hearts covers where they'll do a lot of the same kind of things as someone else. Like, I've seen a few covers that are similar to another version of Sanctuary, especially because, you know, during that boom, dun-dun-dun-dun, it's a very like easy, very like rock kind of moment. So a lot of people will play it the same kind of way. And then I'll start noticing like patterns like, huh? And it's not like copying per se. Sometimes, you know, if there's no credit or it's not obvious, I feel a little bit like it is. But I was really happy to hear once that someone messaged me and they sent me a draft of a song that I had also covered on one of my albums. It was a Metroid song. I won't say who, of course, but they did a really good job. But they very clearly did my guitar solo and like some of my original riffs that don't reference Metroid at all. They're just, you know, kind of metal riffs and stuff. And I was like, hey, that kind of sounds like that thing. And he did say, like, at the beginnings, you know, like, I really loved your version and I'd love to hear what you say. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So it's really nice to know that I've had an influence on another artist. You know, as long as, you know, they're not like saying I came up with this is 100% me. But it also doesn't really matter as long as they're brave enough to make their own version. I would never want someone to be like, man, Ro covered Forest Temple so well, I never want to cover that Zelda song. Because someone also has said that before about songs that I eventually covered. And I just did an Undertale album. It's 24 tracks long, and every single one of the songs I covered has been covered by someone else several times. So I think that the most important thing is music is meant to be created. It's kind of beautiful that you can arrange, and obviously I had to be very careful not to copy people, but also I was super inspired by my friend Rich, or Rishadi B, who made this big Undertale collaborative album with Amy Waters, and it's gonna happen with Kingdom Hearts. I did Destiny Islands, and I took a lot of ideas from the Destati version, and then I still had to kind of make it my own thing. Or Hollow Bastion, I didn't take that from someone else's covers. I took a lot of ideas from a band called Veil of Maya, and I found a song that reminded me of Hollow Bastion called Mikasa. It's based off, it's named after Attack on Titan character. But, I think the coolest thing we can do is to listen to more music, practice more music, and then your covers end up being these like totally weird, unique things that no one can really copy. And I still kind of want to redo my Hollow Bastion because I think the mix was a little crazy, but it feels like mine. And I love other people's covers of Hollow Bastion too, because they're all now like different. They're like different children of the same tree.
Yeah, exactly. Like it feels like everyone's version of music is totally unique, as it should be. I think people should just, if they're creating something, they should be trying to get their message across or their feelings across. And I think sometimes people take, I guess, elements from other people or other works because they feel like that represents what they're trying to convey. Which is, I think that's why we see a lot of that in the covers specifically. Like, oh, this is familiar. This sounds like something I've heard in this other cover or something. Because there is this sense of community when it comes to this kind of stuff that I think is very constructive in a way. Of course, there's always what you said. There's always this, especially if you're selling music, you don't want to be copying someone.
Right. I think that's the main thing, and everyone's just trying to be like unique no matter what, but you don't want to outright copy exactly how someone else did it and then say it's yours. But also I think it's cool for people to learn other people's arrangements, learn other people's covers, see why they did what they did. Even if you don't like it, you can say, okay, I liked this part, but I would do my version slower, or I would use more piano and less guitar, or some, there's so many ways we can grow from it without having to reject it or copy it.
Well, I think that was very, very, very interesting. Actually, I wasn't planning on going in this like direction of talking about the VGM community, but as we started talking, I started realizing, man, this is perfect. Of course, I have to talk.
No, I've been around it for a while.
Yeah, I was like, Ro is the big VGM person I know. There's no way I'm gonna like not talk about this.
No, sure, I love it, and the community is fantastic. It's just like any music community or even the game community. It's just passionate people who like video games so much, and they want to create and do as much as they can. Join the industry in some cases, become composers and all. So it's pretty cool.
I love how cozy I guess I started getting into VGM stuff very recently, like when it comes to putting myself out there. And actually, you're the one who recruited me into Pixel Mixers on Twitter, which was
oh my god,
yeah.
really?
I just like posted like, man, I wish I was
awesome.
closer to the VGM people. They're really cool, and they were just like, hey, join my Discord server. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, Pixel Mixers is a group from it's been around for a long time. It's completely grown, and it hasn't changed where it matters.
Yeah,
is the best part.
It's very and like everyone is very like collaborative. That's the best word I can find. Everyone is just trying to help each other out grow. Everyone's just giving each other like a helping hand if they need to, and it's much more caring than I thought it was gonna be going into it. And I think that's great because it gives people like confidence if they're new and support if they're veterans, right? So it's very, very cool. I feel like it's I don't know, it's great. It's very good.
Yeah, and it's so important because it wasn't there when I started, and people would always ask each other, is there like a community? Is there a place like people can chat? Because it's really hard to learn so much about music, from theory to recording to transcribing your favorite video game songs, like making videos, of course. And I thought it was just, we should be making it easier for the next person who wants to do this. So I think, when I made Reddit RVG covers 2015, I think, And then Haschel from he was originally on hosting a website called Game Tabs, and he was in charge there. And we kind of like merged, and Haschel took full lead of the Discord and the community albums, and I did a lot of work on some of the earlier ones, and it's just such a good place to be for that. I hope they do a Kingdom Hearts one.
Oh man, that would be very cool.
Because there'd be yeah, you just gotta vote for it.
I will be. I'm not very active on Pixel Mixer like nowadays, but I should. I guess it's just I just kind of, I don't know, got a lot of stuff to do, but I want to go back to being more active.
Of course,
there.
I like checking in.
Yeah, I'm gonna check in more often there.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
It's been an hour, so I think, and we talked like about I think everything I wanted to come across. Actually, no. There's one final question I have to ask you before we end the episode.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
When is your Kingdom Hearts EP coming out?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, so once I finished all of the games that I finished, because after the first game, I already knew I wanted to cover so much. I think I would probably not want to cover Kingdom Hearts unless I did a really, really big project. So it would probably be a double album of 1 and 2 that I think I would, if I had to do just one, which I would do it like the same size I did the Undertale thing, and I would do like 10 tracks from Kingdom Hearts 1 in order of the story, and then part 2 is Kingdom Hearts 2, again in order, and then I would have to include Destati. I would have to include all the big moments. It would be a lot of work, but I would say 2022, early 2022. I think
I'm gonna hold you to that. I'm gonna.
Okay, but in the meantime, I'm happy to do more covers of Kingdom Hearts individually. I might try doing Waltz of the Damned.
Oh, that would, yeah. I really hope you actually do that for Halloween. That would be very fun to watch. I mean, if you don't, oh well. But
I will say, I've got a lot of stuff in the works. So, for Halloween, I'm actually working on the Mandalorian theme from the TV show The Mandalorian, and there's a lot of costume making involved there. And I'm working on a Frozen album, so that's going to be in December. So there's a ton of work to happen in the next month, but I will find some time for Kingdom Hearts for sure.
Heck yeah! All right, this is I can't speak. This has been very exciting. Thank you so much,
awesome.
Bro, for joining me. This was very fun. If you ever want to pop in and do another one of these,
yeah, this is awesome.
I would be glad to have you back.
Sure. Maybe after I do another Kingdom Hearts cover, we can break it down or something.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Awesome.
I will see you
so much.
soon, and thank you everyone who watched the video. I hope you enjoyed this as well, and stay tuned for the next episode. I'm not sure when it's gonna come out, but it's gonna be in the works. Yeah. Anyway, bye.